Farming is often referred to as the backbone of the economy, and I don't think there's a better description of the profession. Without the hard work of the farmers and the land used to grow and house the food we eat, we as a society would literally be nowhere. Recently, however, it has been discovered that farms all across England are losing roughly £1 billion in revenue. And in today's video, we're going to go over exactly why this is happening and what we can do in order to stop it. Let's get right into the video. Hardship for small-time farmers in England. 2020 and 2021 have been difficult years for everyone, regardless of where they live. The pandemic has taken its toll on every business on Earth, regardless of size, location, or operation. However, the pandemic has been a main issue in the strong decline of farming revenue all across England. Farming in England and every other country on Earth are crucial parts of the economy as they make up a large portion of the country's revenue. They also serve a sizable role in an important role known as feeding the country. Joking aside, the crash seen in the farming market over the past year can be largely chalked up to the roadblocks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Struggling supply chains, secured borders, and a fractured economy, all caused by the pandemic, strapped small-time farmers, causing them to sell goods at an all-time low. Additionally, the restaurant and catering business that made up a large portion of small farms' business seemingly dried up overnight, as the pandemic forced all of them to close their doors for the foreseeable future. Small-time farmers were on the brink of collapse over the past year, but hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of this pandemic. With vaccination rates going up and supply chains beginning to smooth out again, hopefully this is the start of getting back to normal that the farming industry desperately needs. Insane rain. Weather is always a factor when it comes to any outdoor business, but it affects farming maybe the most, as the rain does wonders for crops and livestock. However, too much or too little rain can be devastating for farmers, and this year, the amount of rainfall and the magnitude of weather events was nothing short catastrophic. Rain fell at almost an all-time high during the spring in England in 2020. In a country that's already famous for its heavy amounts of rain, having an extremely wet spring was a blow that English farmers just could not take. Additionally, the timing of the rainfall could not have been worse, as it mostly came during the springtime. The spring is the time in which farmers plant their crops. However, if the rain is too much, crops cannot be planted, as seeds will drown in the harsh conditions. While the amount of rain seen in early 2020 was enough to delay planting by several months, forcing farmers to plant in what is known as the dry season. And to make things somehow worse, the dry season in 2020 was the driest dry season quite some time, which crippled the growth of many essential crops such as wheat and potatoes. The loss from these two crops alone was reported as roughly £999 million, adding to the total drop in farming revenue from 2019 to 2020 that was reported at a loss of £1 billion. The total revenue from farming in 2019 totaled £5.2 billion, which dropped all the way down to £4.1 billion in 2020. However, near apocalyptic weather and a global pandemic are not the only factors in the extreme drop in farming revenue seen in England in 2020. There was a third factor that certainly did not help the situation in any way: the lack of help from the EU thanks to Brexit. As everyone watching this video should know, England separated itself from the European Union in January of 2020. Brexit saw many losers at the time of the merger, but it did help in bolstering the stock of the English pound, the currency used in England. However, this was not much consolation considering the huge losses suffered by England in terms of revenue from farming. How did Brexit impact farming in England? Well, for starters, England was forced to create a new trade agreement with the remaining members of the European Union, which saw new tariffs and taxes that were not present before Brexit. Additionally, the EU had policies in place to assist farmers financially. For example, the countries in the EU get paid subsidies thanks to the EU's Common Agricultural Policy that ensures farmers can afford to operate their farms regardless of fluctuation in the economy. Well, farmers in England had their subsidies significantly reduced due to Brexit, which hit small and big-time farms hard. Additionally, Britain began ushering in a new system of environmental land contracts that sees the owner of the land receive benefits for supplying the public with goods and services such as planting new trees, preserving wildlife, making improvements to the soil, and assisting in the preservation of wildlife. While these services are helpful and should be rewarded, the details of the system are murky and are not fully in place, which is adding more uncertainty to farmers as they're unsure as to the current current trade agreements in place, as well as what land deals are currently in effect due to the messy Brexit situation. The government is failing English farmers. Unfortunately, the government is not doing all it could to ensure the security of farmers and their crops and livestock during these uncertain times. The English government began giving incentives for older farmers to retire by bribing them with a £100,000 payout with very little incentives for new farmers to take their place. This was causing small-town farmers who were considering retirement to take the £100,000 payment without having anyone to replace them. This was seen as a significant drop in crop yield as entire farms were being lost due to lack of farmers. People are scared that this payment option for retiring farmers will squeeze out small-time farmers in order to usher in a new batch of large agribusiness farms to their place. This will put thousands of small-time farmers out of business and will significantly impact the farming market. Tim Farron, the Liberal Democrat spokesman for the Environmental and Rural Affairs, said the Tories are failing British farmers and our environment. They're cutting support payments, offering trade deals without sufficient guarantees, and they're encouraging experienced farmers to leave without ensuring someone will replace them. This income plummeting is down to one thing: Tory mismanagement. The Conservatives must change tack now before we see incomes dropping further and farmers going out of business. Since 1990, the amount of small-time family farms has decreased drastically, with almost 100,000 families leaving the farming industry, with many families that are still in the farming industry fearing for their livelihood as more anti-small business deals get signed due to the fallout of Brexit. What can be done to change the current course? As of right now, it seems like we're on an unavoidable collision course with large agri-business companies taking over the farming industry, resulting in families losing their livelihoods and a dramatic increase in poor environmental habits used by large farming corporations. However, with the end of the pandemic and the fallout of Brexit becoming clearer each day, it appears as though the world can begin to help each other out again, starting with small-time farmers banding together to showcase their impact on the global economy, all while staying environmentally beneficial. Prince Charles called on farmers all over the world and in England to start initiatives that outline the necessity of small-time farms and to do all they can to stay relevant in order to keep sustainable and environmentally friendly farming alive and well in England and the world. Without small farms, the world will see a dramatic increase in greenhouse gases, which will prove harmful to the planet and its long-term health. Additionally, small-time farms help feed the world and provide jobs to many rural families. Without them, we would likely see a decrease in food availability and an increase in food pricing. Please, if you do not already, consider doing all you can to support small-time farmers, as it'll not only help you, but also help people in your community all over the world. That's the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Did you know of the potentially deadly state small-time farming was in? What do you think we can do in order to increase our dependency on small-time farming while also ensuring their job security and crop yield? Whatever you have to say, let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. It's free to you, only takes a few seconds, and goes a long way in supporting the channel. Thanks again, and we'll see you all in the next video.